Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Megajohn and today, we've finally made it to STAP's true final mission, Extra Mission 16. Just like how Stealth Mission 8 was a culmination of everything you've learned in the prior stealth missions, Extra Mission 16 is no different. This mission will encompass what you've learned in the previous extra missions, and in my personal opinion, it's the hardest mission in the game. I'm even scared of this level. But let's not waste any more time, let's get into it. Right off the bat, there's snipers in the distance ready to shoot you if you hop over this barrier. The only thing we can do is hop to this other platform. A scout walks up and down this side, but his straightforward pattern makes his movements easy to anticipate. The longer and probably safer way is to wait for him to walk away, past the patroller, stick to the corner prism to avoid the sentinel, and make this jump when the scout is gone. A shorter way, however, is to wait for the scout to reach you, let him walk away, tail him, and quickly jump across when he stops. Now the most convenient way through this part is to go behind this wall, out of the sentinel's sight. Make sure that patroller is looking away before you jump over here. Watch that scout's pattern. The safest way to pass him is to tail him. Either that or run parallel to his path on his way down. Only do this if you're confident in your skills. Either way, you can jump over to this area hidden away and press this button. It makes a bridge appear. Now backtrack the way you came. If you die, the bridge will stay active at least. When that scout is out of your way, you can cross the bridge without problem. When you cross over, you'll want to grab this glow stick back here by sidestepping past this guard. It's basically impossible to complete a later section without it. Anyway, you can slip past this sentinel in the corner, hug the right side of the platform, then stay behind one or between this pair of patrollers to make it through. An alternate path would be to double back after collecting the glow stick and pass underneath the sniper's line of sight. Hug the wall and pass the patrollers however you see fit. Instead of that, however, you could just pass the middle and go to the other end and slip past the sentinel's line of sight. You may not even have to worry about the patrollers at that point, depending on your timing. If the shadows make it hard for you, the glow stick might come in handy to tell you which way enemies are facing. If you travel this left side behind the sentinel, make sure that scouts are looking away from you first. Then you can follow them past the sentinels, jump back up to the middle part. You can then assess the patroller's movements to decide when it's safe to go through. Another way you could complete this part would be to, instead, hop over to the right side, walk up to the sentinel, then come back up. If well timed, you could potentially clear this whole stretch uninterrupted. Whichever way you beat that part, climb the ladder at the end. You'll eventually come up to another swimming section which requires the glow stick to see. In order to escape, you'll need to locate the white button and press it.
Door open.
That will unlock the door required to leave this underwater maze. If you get turned around or don't think you can find the exit in time, go back to where you started and catch your breath. The maze isn't as confusing as the ones from prior missions, thankfully. After climbing the exit ladder, you'll see a very familiar obstacle. With proper timing, press the red button to drop that scout through the floor. Then jump down from either side of the sniper and pass underneath his narrow sightline. I know the button colors might trip some people up, but remember, the dominant level colors always denote making objects disappear, while the opposite color buttons make tangible objects appear. But after passing that line of snipers from the start of the mission, you'll see that we need to get over there. But that scout moves too fast. As there's a trap door underneath him, I'm sure you know what to do. Watch these two patrollers. When there's an opening, run around this one and get to the button panel. Carefully time the button press, and we'll drop this scout too. It is worth noting that when you drop him, he'll just stay on the platform from earlier. Not a problem unless you die. But anyway, you can now pass those patrollers since the scout is out of the way. Platform to this skinny block and climb its ladder. Beware the patroller and collect the speed coil. Now you'll have to backtrack through those patrollers again to collect the key. If you don't put two and two together, the speed coil's tooltip reminds you. Now go through the patrollers again, but hop on the left prism this time. With the coil equipped, you can clear those big jumps easily. When you get to the platform with the wall, you can jump to the left. Then go to either the left or right platform. Either one is fine. One has a patroller and the other has a sentinel. It's a matter of what you're more comfortable with, really. Back at the platform with the wall, you can also jump straight through if you stay on the left side. There is a sniper that will get you if you jump the wall, so steer clear of that. But regardless of which platform you end up on, you gotta aim straight for the ladder or the wall and climb it like so. If you miss, however, You'll probably land on this platform below. You could go through the rest of the level normally if you're masochistic like that, or you could climb up this other ladder and jump to the right side of the sentinel on the platform. Hopefully you catch the ladder this time. Before you get to the top, make sure the patrollers are out of your way. Move up and climb the final ladder when the scout is looking away. After a hop and a quick sprint, take out the key and you're all done. So there's actually more to speak of this time around with regards to Easter eggs. Some stuff carries over from the other missions. Just to get it out of the way, the door opened and door closed voice is an AI replicating David Hayter's voice of Metal Gear Solid fame. No joke this time. If you don't know who he is by now, that's your fault. Anyway, the items carry over as well. The glow stick's tooltip references a song by Lacuna Coil called Trip the Darkness. It's a song my friend, Cyblox, introduced me to a few years ago. And it's the song I fought a mutant hamster to. A deep cut for anyone who's followed my work. The reference is a lot more relevant given the black and red aesthetic of this arena. I mentioned the Speed Coil's tooltip earlier, but I think it's worth mentioning that this one's activation sound is different compared to Extra Mission 15's. The key's tooltip is me being snarky again, but the texture applied to the pulsating effect is also my late dog Rex. And like I said earlier, the entire level is a callback to the missions from before. From building bridges like Extra Mission 14, using a glow stick like 8, 11, and 14, platforming with the speed coil like in 15, using a key like in 13, using elevation to sneak past enemies like in 9, swimming like in 8 and 14, all the way to dropping scouts like in Extra Mission 12. And to top things off, let's discuss the environment for Extra Mission 16 itself. It uses the same skybox from the extras lobby with the addition of the spinning globe that surrounds us. With the effect turned off, the virtual hellscape orbiting the map is actually the inside of Earth. This also happens to be the only extra mission with ambient noise. Due to limitations imposed on me by Roblox at the time, this is actually the sound effect for the tanks driving from Fremo Mission 8. Just really slowed down. Speaking of sound, the music that plays in this mission is a quiet variant of a song called Death to Analog by Julian K. I remixed multiple versions of the song for STAP's trailer as well. In the vanilla version of the song with vocals, the lyrics are pretty straightforward. Right from the get-go, the song repeatedly says that there's no right to survive, and that you gotta fight to stay alive. The whole song could be construed as a metaphor for natural selection, but the song's lyrics kind of encapsulate the point of STAP rather neatly, don't you think? Only the strongest can make it through this game. While we're here, let's try to cover other miscellaneous stuff about STAP in general. Just gonna go ahead and say I'm not going to make a video guide about the tutorial. Because, well, Stealth Mission 0 is a guide with M3G4 telling you how to play and how enemies work. The only real Easter egg to speak of is the tablet at the end of the arena containing the number 416, another reference to the number 64 as that's what 4 times 16 is. As for Stealth Missions 1 through 3, the old versions of the levels exist out of bounds where the player can't see. This was in case something broke and I needed to go back to the older versions for whatever reason. Out of bounds in Mission 1 are buildings players normally wouldn't be able to see. I put that there as a failsafe in case players somehow found a way to look over the building from the window. I also included a failsafe in case players could glitch the camera and look on the other side of the exit door in Mission 2. It's just a flat plane, but even nearly 9 years ago, it was always intended for the outside to be grassy and green. All those years later when Alt Mission 2 was created, it sort of came true. In Stealth Mission 3, you can actually platform on the rocks to see the old map way off in the distance. I once considered fixing this, but thought this was too cool to get rid of. A little secret not everyone would be privy to. While we're in this mission, you can actually scale the building from the back, which is something I realized after my guide came out. You can also slide past the Sentinel's line of sight and enter the front door. It's amazing what you can do within the confines of linearity. But before we continue, I'd like to briefly pivot to the thumbnails on STAP's game page. The main thumbnail consists of images of all the primary missions, tutorial included. In this thumbnail, you can see me in Solid Snake cosplay standing next to Stealth Mission 1's keypad. It's purposefully cropped to show the numbers of the primary missions. The third image was taken out of bounds in Mission 7, actually, and the fourth is actually a still from the old trailer. This next thumbnail, which shows off the varying enemy types, is the only thumbnail to feature my hand-drawn artwork, and it also contains a secret you can only see on the game's page. Hover your mouse cursor over this thumbnail to get short descriptions of the enemy types. But back to the game itself, both ends of the train tracks in Mission 6 lead to a black square. From a distance, players may think it's just a tunnel if they were to look out for it. As for where the dirt paths go outside the city, they all lead to dead ends around the mountains, but again, you'd never be able to see that from your point of view. In Mission 7, there used to be 4 cars that drove by on the street out of bounds. You can see the car and its driver situated on a building out of view from the player. The reason this got cut was because I had problems having 4 cars at once back then, so I had to cut it down to 3 to avoid those problems. There's a lava lamp behind these buildings out of bounds. This model would end up being used in Mission 8. I spoke about billboards in the Mission 7 and 8 video, but here's what's on the other side of them. This, of course, would normally go unseen in regular gameplay. With regards to the extra missions, you can actually bypass a lot of the level by jumping around the walls in Extra Mission 3. This even works in Extra Mission 5, but it's really tricky to slip past the sniper's line of sight to reach the goal. The last piece of cut content I want to go over are the combat missions. The odd-numbered missions were converted to sword-fighting maps, while the even-numbered ones made up the gunfighting arenas. It just worked out that the layout of these maps fit well with them being PvP maps focused on either gun or sword fighting. The sword fighting ones used the classic swords as well as modified versions of red and blue Roblox swords that created an AoE effect which either repelled or slowly ate away at the enemy's health. The gunfighting arenas consisted of guns adapted from templates created by Turbo Fusion. They used the same gun models the enemy uses in STAP with a few special additions as well. Combat Mission 6 even featured a better version of the sniper rifle and a custom-built grenade launcher. This side mode wasn't anything too special, but it was certainly fun before Roblox broke it all. The even-numbered missions were even converted to sword-fighting arenas where you could team up and have a boss fight against M3G4 himself. Depending on whether you choose Mission 1, 2, or 4's arena, you would determine how difficult you wanted the fight to be. 6 even let you fight against a horde of M3G4s in the city. But since Roblox broke it, I reused some of the assets made to create the alt and extra missions. And let's bring things full circle. It's clear I wear my influences proudly on my sleeve. That even applies to the hub areas for STAP, more specifically, the main lobby. It's already clear that you can jump into the mission teleporters kind of like the paintings in Super Mario 64. But the lobby took the most inspiration from the hub world of a niche PS2 game called Primal. Its hub world, the Nexus, was divided into 4 parts with corresponding rift gates taking you to each realm. The area you walk through before entering each realm is themed around the location you're going to enter. Though STAP's hub world is smaller, the design philosophy carries over here as well. Part of Primal's gameplay also involves you overcoming puzzles and obstacles to progress further that also carries over from STAP. Can you believe it's all over? After months of making videos covering this game, we finally covered everything regarding STAP. I spent 5 days making Mission 1 back in the day. Mission 2, 3, and 4 took a month. Mission 5 took 4 months to complete. Mission 6 took 8 months to finish. And Mission 7 and 8 took literal years because of how big it is. Through all the personal struggles, technical difficulties, trials and tribulations, we finally made it to the end. It's been an incredible journey up to this point. Over a decade ago, I joined Roblox to chase my dreams of making my own game. And if this niche title was something you enjoyed, then I think it all paid off. We've conquered all these crazy challenges with almost nothing but our wits, saw the world, met some fascinating characters from all walks of life, and traveled this incredible journey together. Cyblox, Royalto, Gladiator, Oradine, Moshinate, Lego Seed. All the bonds I've forged on Roblox have facilitated where I am now with regards to my creative endeavors. Thanks for the adventure, everyone. All hail VM.